I make the
PC Woodworks for you. Welcome back to the shop. Got a weird build, more of a kid's build or a family build, but the fact is that it is extremely popular. And one of my friends who happens to be a good customer, her and her kids are huge on these things. So, here it is. And if you're wondering exactly what it is a Paracord Bracelet Jig. You've probably seen the loom band bracelets that the kids are making, and the jigs for it is a plastic thing with a bunch of pegs. Well, the new fad is paracord bracelets, made with paracord, bungee cord sort of stuff, I think. Anyways, this is basically a copy of the one that you can buy in a store, with one simple fact: it's made out of scrap, and it doesn't cost the stupid amount of money that they charge for it in the store. So, let's get building. So, to start, we have two pieces that used to be a 2x4, and now they're down just under 1.5 inches wide, and they are 6 inches long. These will receive a dado for these to slide into, and here we have 1/2 inch by 3 1/8. You know, you can go with the size you want, but this 3 1/8, I kept it as wide as I could off of the pallet wood that it came from. That used to be one of these. I'm not sure what it is. I thought it was red oak, but now I'm starting to think it might be a species of cherry. So first thing, I've already got it cut to our proper dimensions. We have to change the length a bit. First thing we're going to do though is make the dados, and then we'll prepare this board here to receive this slot, which enables it to slide, so you can adjust it to the proper length that you want. According to what I've heard, for every inch of bracelet, you need a foot of paracord. Okay, so as you can see, I have marked where I want my dado. It will be 1/2 inch wide and 1/2 inch into our end piece here. One thing to keep in mind if you're doing this, I've brought my first mark in an inch from the bottom. Now, because these boards sit on top of each other like this, that means one end will go into the foot at 1 inch, or sorry, right here, will go into at 1 inch, and the one that sits on top will be at 1.5 inches from the bottom. So if you look at the two side by side, this one is 1/2 inch higher than this one. Okay, so we have cut our two dados, and like I said, they are offset by that 1/2 inch. The next step is to cut the slot down the middle of these that will accept our bolt. One problem I see with the store-bought brands is the potential for them to want to walk like this, because all they have is that single bolt. You see the other one, I had a dowel that you put in and stop it from doing that. So I'll set this router table up, and then we're going to go cut it. And before you know it, we're going to be making paracord bracelets. Oh yeah!
My kids are just crazy with these bracelets, especially the loom bands. And now it's paracord bracelets. What's next? Dog-tailed bracelets? Who knows? Where does it end?
Okay, so we're all set up here on the router table. It is set up, lined up with the center of my 1/4 inch straight spiral bit. So I will drop my piece down slowly onto my bit with the edge of my board right on my line. Start running my piece horizontally until the end of my board reaches the line on the other side of my fence. So then we will be left with a slot that is 1 inch from this end and 1 inch from this end, and it is perfectly centered in the middle of our board.
So, let me get my glasses and let's cut.
Now we have our piece here. Perfectly centered hole, and it is perfectly spaced from end to end. First thing I'm going to do is line up my two blocks here, and I'm going to trace my line, or my groove that we just routed. Sloppy looking line there. Okay, new plan. We're going to put small runners on the end, just over the lip here, that will hopefully solve our dilemma. I went and cut these small little strips, which I am going to laminate on the ends here. So basically, they will go something like this, but they will only be attached to the bottom runner here. Okay, so it'll only be attached. We're sliding apart. It'll only be attached to the bottom runner. That way, it will move and slide with the rest of it. Alright, so now I have a 1/2 inch round over bit here, and I'm going to round over all my edges. One thing I'm not going to do is go near the dado. I'm actually going to stop and leave a slight raised profile right before the dado. Figured out how to make my track system work. Okay, so I did end up putting some little pieces on here as a guide rail. They are attached to the bottom one only. As you can see, this bolt I'm using right now is a tad long. I don't have a short enough bolt right now. I'm planning on going to the hardware later and get it. But for now, that's basically it. We'll glue that up in a minute. But first, I'm going to show you another way to make a paracord bracelet jig. And it is slightly simpler. This is actually from a salvage dresser drawer that I pulled out of the garbage. This is pallet wood, and this is pallet wood. Now, if you're going to lumberyard, all you need is some 1x4, probably, what's there, maybe about 4 feet of 1x4. This is, well, you could probably use 1x4 too, but 1x6, and then 2x4s. Now, I'm just going to clean up and square up all these edges. This side's square to this side, so now I'm going to put this against the fence, put it to my desired width, and repeat the process on all of them until I have square lumber. So all of our rough lumber is now square and cut to our rough dimensions. We need to create a dado in these wider runners to accept our base plate here. About, oh, I don't know, halfway in or so. These are going to serve as legs. I'm just going to clean these up. Hey, check it out. Now, I didn't show this, but I glued it up. We have these top runners that we cut with the 1/4 inch by 1/2 inch rabbet. Then we have the side runners that has the just over 5/8, I believe it was, dado that accepts our main track or base, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, I'm new to this. I'm just going to call it a track board. We'll trace this out and we'll cut on the inside of the line. We should be okay. Okay, so after some tinkering around, that whole track here that we installed, I didn't glue it straight. I didn't take enough time with it, so anyways, I ended up cutting it off and came up with a much simpler solution. Basically, this is the same as this piece here, and it is just slotted to accept these runners here, and this one is screwed into place, as you can see, because this one is a stationary one. Now, as far as the other one, it will fit over the edge. So it fits over the slot and slides back and forth, just like that. And that provides the stability that I feel this one doesn't have. So, with that sliding in place, as you can see, there is a hole here at this in this block, which I have this, what's it called? Well, it's called something, but basically it has a bolt on one end, and then the other end has a screw. So you can screw the screw end into the wood, and then you have a bolt that protrudes through, and you can put your nut on. So when you screw that into the wood, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to epoxy this, it fits down, your bolt comes through, tighten up your wing nut. So first things first, I'm going to take some 220 sandpaper and just clean up these slots here to make sure they're as smooth as they're going to be. Once I get this glue cleaned up, I'll apply some wax, some paste wax to the runners and the inside here, which will help reduce friction, so it should slide fairly decent. Apparently I'm out of epoxy, so I'm just going to use some wood glue, and you're going to get a good amount of wood glue down in the hole I drilled for this little half bolt, half screw piece. Yeah. Let the glue run down. Alright, that looks like it's good enough. I'll put this bolt down in, or screw slash bolt. Give it a try. Oh yeah. Tight. No. Not moving. Loosen it up. Slides. So that'll work. We'll take it off and let that screw dry. Wow. It gets into your mind and it messes with you. So it's like, it's scary. I can't do this. So now we'll clean up this. Okay, so back to this guy here. All that's left on him is to put a tad bit of glue on it. Okay, so I have a little piece of scrap here, and this is just to keep it evenly spaced. Okay, so everything's sanded and ready for paint. Our one made of cherry has the bolt with a single hole on the bottom slide and an entire slot on the top to enable the sliding action to adjust to whatever length you want. And the same thing for this one. Now this one is my innovative one. It's much more durable, probably easier to use. Basically, this one has a bolt that sticks out, notches that accept these rails. And once the bolt is tightened, it can't move. So you just loosen the bolt, slide it wherever you want for the length you need. Yeah, time to paint. Okay, welcome to my very special paint shop. Basically, it's to floor a carpet on my floor in the shop. We have everything painted down here with the new prototype and the original prototype. Now the one that was made in the middle, the cherry one, I was going to just put something clear on it, but decided since this is for kids, it's a good chance to use my new blue water-based wood stain. It's kind of a cool blue. It is called Deep Ocean. It is a very deep ocean blue. Okay, so it's all mixed up. I'm just going to use this little foam brush since it's just a little project. Usually I like to use a lint-free cloth, but oh well. Okay, so one thing to remember with this, it's water-based, only 3 minutes to, only leave it on for 3 minutes once you apply it, and then wipe off your excess. Just wipe off your excess and repeat the process if you want it to be a tad darker than it is once you remove the excess. Okay, so everything is painted and stained this cool blue here. So now it's just time for some clear coat. Nice thing about this Krylon stuff is it dries very quickly, and probably within 10 minutes you can do a second coat.
Okay, so this goes here, and this goes over it, and look, I'm making Paracord bracelets.
Okay, so as you can see, it is finished. It looks pretty cool. We have our measurements here, so we can loosen it off, and, well, it would probably adjust better if I didn't have a cord up here. We have 3 designs. Well, 2 designs, really. The original design, which I painted up, really cool. Oh, yeah. Says KC Jig. We have our measurement lines here, which you can undo. Now, this is, when I did these, I took into account the length of these little coupler things here, how far off here they are. So they still come off just over ½ an inch, so we have 1 inch plus the distance this comes out to give an accurate measurement of how long you want your bracelet. So if you need a 13-inch bracelet, then you would simply move your corresponding lines.
Probably be easier with numbers, but it is what it is.
So you move it to your first line here. It lines up with the 8th line here. This one is basically the same thing, but we have these guide bars here. Again, just helps for stability. And then this one is the brand new prototype that I built. Same concept. You have a nut on the bottom to loosen, and then you can see the lines there. Slide your piece to the desired length and meet up with what line you need to be on for your length. A very cool build, and I'm hoping on batching a bunch of these out to sell, so that's cool. Always like putting new products on the internet, and hopefully my friends and her kids will get a lot of fun out of these. I'm gonna get back to make your loop. Who needs a jig? It's like tying a tie. Eye of the tiger. Through the eye of the tiger, and maybe you'll have better luck. Check out YouTube videos. I'll put a few in the description down below of how to actually make these paracord bracelets and things that you'll need. The only thing that the only thing that I don't have on here is the little clips that you use to put on each end of the bracelet. My hardware store didn't carry them, and so yeah, that's all we're missing. Basically, just the little clips like you'd find on a bicycle helmet. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Check us out on Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, at KC Woodworks. Sorry, at _KC Woodworks on Twitter, and you can follow all the things that I find around the internet, different builds that we've done here in the shop, and things that you haven't seen before in my shop from before we started this. So again, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next build, which will be this benchtop cubbyhole system. So stay frosty, and I'll see you in the next. Check out the last week's video where we created a throat plate for the spindle sander, and the technique can be applied to any sort of anything really, whether it's throat plates for your table saw or bandsaw or whatever, or even templates for projects. So make sure you check that out, and I'll see you next time.